I'm wondering how much your life has changed over the last 2 years. Most of us, of course, have experienced what it's like to go through the pandemic. Some have lost loved ones. Some have had to change the way life is perceived and how things are conducted. But generally and personally, internally, how much do you think you've changed, and how different do you think you're going to go through this life going forward? Well, I want us to talk about that in a short series that I've titled Prepared, Present, and Participating. And you'll see how all of that plays out to look at how our lives are very different, or should be very different, as a result of all the things we've gone through in the last 2 years or so. My name is Reverend Kwame Rubadiri, and you are watching CITAM, Church Online. A couple of days ago, here in the nation of Kenya, our president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, announced that the curfew, a curfew that had been in place since March of 2020, had been lifted. And all of a sudden, everyone was really excited about the fact that now night hours are kind of free. But it became apparent as I talked to different ones that people really weren't sure what to do with this quote-unquote extra time. It's almost as if our lives have become so used to what it's like to have a curfew, to have to be home by a certain time, to be up by a certain time, and to change the way in which we moved around, that we kind of became used to that. We kind of became used to the way things were done. But it also changed the way in which we look at our time and how we deal with our time, and how much more careful we are with using our time. We have become, in a way, prepared for a different way of living this life. And that, I believe, is what God was intending and continues to intend for us as we've gone through the experience of the last 2 years or so of the pandemic. There's a passage in Scripture. It's in the Old Testament, 1 Chronicles chapter 12. It's a passage which is one of my favorite ones in the whole Bible. In a very systematic way, it looks at how people's lives, especially those who were supporting King David, soldiers who were supporting King David, went through a transformative change that prepared them not only to be good servants and good soldiers in David's army, but also become great leaders in the future of the nation of Israel. I'm just going to read 2 verses, and then we're going to look at what it means to be prepared by God in a time of great upheaval and a time of great change. Verses 1 and 2 of 1 Chronicles chapter 12 say that these were the men who came to David at Ziklag, while he was still a fugitive from Saul, the son of Kish. They were among the mighty men, helpers in the war, armed with bows and using both the right hand and the left in hurling stones and shooting arrows with the bow. They were of Benjamin, Saul's brethren. Now, when these guys first came to David, they were in debt. The Bible records in 1 Samuel chapter 22 that they were discontented and they were discouraged. Everything in their lives was going wrong, but they joined themselves to David. And through a time of real uncertainty, fighting for their lives, trying to make sure that they had a future, they developed certain skills. And one of those skills is mentioned in this passage of Scripture. They learned how to shoot bows and arrows and sling stones with both their right hand and their left hand. They became what we call today ambidextrous. Now, they built these skills over a time of great difficulty. They were running for their lives through desert and through tough conditions, and knowing that they had a price on their head because they had joined themselves to David. Now, they became really good at what they did, so good that David joined them and allowed them to join him and become part of his army. It's interesting because I think their example raises 2 important questions for us today, and I want us to just ask ourselves those questions in a few minutes today as we consider this example. First is, what new skills or what new abilities have become a part of your life over the last 18 months, 2 years? Is there something that you're doing better than you did 2 years ago because of the experience of COVID-19? And the second question is, from having learned those things, what do you think God has deposited in your life that He wants to use in an even greater way in the years years to come. These men are remembered more so for the skill that they developed, more so for the skill that they were able to bring to bear in David's life. And as a result, they were able to do something that is remembered to this day. What will you be remembered for because of the things you learned, that you allowed God to help prepare you for the greater things that He wants to do in your life and mine going forward from this amazing 2 years that has gone behind us? Well, I hope you ask yourself those questions and continue to ask yourself those questions throughout the week and certainly through the rest of this year. What has God prepared you to do for the rest of your life? God bless you.